Hey, what's up, everybody? Todd here. Sorry, George. He says functionality is a real virtue. Yes, you are correct. We are about 5 minutes late here. Leslie and I were having a small conversation. We kind of got a little long-winded as we normally do because Leslie and I just have this, I don't know, this thing about just communicating and talking about all the things in the world that have been going on in the last 25 years in the internet. So, anyway, sorry about that. Leslie got everything working there. Hopefully you guys can see Leslie on the screen there now. Give me a yes. Hey, Tracy. Hi, how are you? Can everybody see Leslie's screen?
Okay, George says yeah.
Yes, yes. All right. And everybody can hear Leslie just fine?
Hey there, everybody.
Coming through loud and clear on my end.
All right,
All
that's
right. Hey,
good.
hey, Greg. Hey, everybody. Anybody else want to say hello? Who else we got out today? I know this has had a lot of interest over the week, last couple of days. And see a lot of people coming on. This is going to be a packed house, it looks like. That's great. Let me get my questions box here a little bigger so I don't miss you guys. You guys are piling in here fast. All right.
Yeah,
Hey,
that's the thing when go to webinar, there's so many windows, you got to have multiple monitors, right?
You do, absolutely. I always drag my questions box out over here and put it on my other monitor and then leave the presentation over on my one right in front of me. So that's how I roll. All right, I think I got everything situated on my end. Everybody else good?
I'm good.
All right, Leslie, you sound good, look good. I think we're gonna get this show started. We're gonna pull something up real quick here just for 1 second. That's cool. All right, guys, I am ready. So let's just go ahead and kick this party off. What do you guys say? All right, here we go. I'm gonna start the, let me, hold on, let me find my record, there's my recording. Oh, well, we're already recording. Leslie, did you hit record?
Oh, I checked the box that says record as soon as you start. I guess that was my
Yeah.
bad. That's right.
Yeah.
I'll trim. I'll trim the green room. It's fine.
Yeah, I always try to not, because if you start when you want to start, then you don't have to re-edit. That's usually,
There's that.
oh, yeah. I'll do all that rendering and editing. So, all right, well, we're good to go. I'm going to count this down. 3, 2, 1. Hey, everybody, how's it going? Todd Spears here, and welcome back to another Supremacy webinar. Thanks for being here, and we have an exciting presentation today for you guys. It's, as you can see on the screen now, my good friend, Mr. Leslie Rohde, and I've known Leslie for quite a long time. We were chit-chatting a few weeks ago, maybe about a month ago. Honestly, neither one of us could actually remember where we were. But it was many years ago, and that just kind of gives you an idea of the length of time Leslie's been in this business, and I know all of you know how long I've been in this business as well. So we both, kind of started, 90s, and getting into this whole search engine optimization and internet marketing thing. And Leslie, if you guys don't know who Leslie is, I mean, just Google, first of all. And he's always been, he was kind of already more involved in SEO whenever I came up on the scene. And so I learned a lot from Leslie, kind of in the shadows before I knew anything, right? And one of the things that I remember back in, gosh, uh, 15, 18 years ago, Leslie was kind of the one that put out all the press on the anchor text in your backlinks. And they kind of denoted, why things rank for what they rank for based on the anchor text. Now, we all know we can't do that over abundantly in today's day and age because you get that whole, Google caught on to that whole thing a little bit right there. But back in the day, the greatest example was if you went into Google and you typed in the search term "click here," well, what came up? And it was Adobe, because every single website out there in the day, or millions of them, said, download this article but you need Adobe. And if you don't have Adobe, click here and then link to adobe.com. So from that, Leslie was one of the first ones to figure that out. And it also came from, reading Google's patents, right? Reading the information that Google, and believe it or not, that's, there's a lot of information right there on how Google works. Now, you kind of have to be a mad scientist engineer to really grasp some of the terms, technology, and complexities that are in there. And I've been there, and I've tried as well, caught things here and there, but it will give you sort of the headache. But not Leslie. Leslie is an absolute genius at this stuff, guys. He's been doing this for, like I said, a really, really long time. And it's just a pleasure to have him on today to teach you guys, kind of show you guys what he's been doing over the last decade. What we're going to be going over today isn't something that, Leslie figured out a week ago or a month ago or last year even. I mean, this is kind of something that's been ongoing for a decade or more. So gosh, I could sit here and go on and on about, the accolades of Leslie, but we don't really have a lot of time for all that. You guys, hopefully you're exposed to him now, and you'll sort of, try to find more ways to follow him and, and learn from him. And today we're going to learn a lot as well. But I do have one outside of business. A couple of fun facts about Leslie includes a year in Antarctica, tracking navigation satellites and advancing to the 4th degree black belt in Taekwondo. So congratulations, Leslie. I remember I took Taekwondo when I was a young tyke. I didn't get very far, but I'll just say I was there for a few sessions. All right, guys. Well, with that being said, I'm going to shut up right now and turn it over to Leslie. Leslie, can you hear me?
Yes, I sure can, Todd.
All right, great. You're coming in loud and clear. So I'm going to sit over here and be quiet. I'll be over here in the background, guys, answering you guys' questions. But Leslie, go ahead and take it away.
Very good. Thanks a lot, Todd, for that great introduction. You can GM my next live event. How about that? And so, yeah. And if you were one of my students, I know you'd be a black belt by now. But anyway, moving on, right? Getting to today's presentation, which is not actually about Taekwondo, but you'll see a couple images of that, I expect. So I've customized today's training especially for exactly 2 people. Now, there's way more than 2 people on here, but what you'll find is there's a little bit of both of these, I think, Amy and Bob, in both everybody that's on this webinar today. And that is that, let's call it Amy, and this is an avatar, right? So she runs a digital marketing agency and has a small team, but she does all the selling herself. She offers several different services, and she probably works way too many hours. Bob, actually works a job. You talk about working a lot of hours, and does some marketing on the side, but he really hasn't hit anything that's really working for him. He'd like to be full-time like Amy. And because, and he doesn't have a team, of course, which is one of the things holding him back, and he's like stuck in this time trap. Now, for both Amy and Bob, I got this message for you. And maybe you're not Amy and Bob. Maybe you're Chuck or Devin or, whatever, Elaine, right? But this is the best time in the history of the world to own a digital marketing agency. And I'll justify that in just a few minutes if you don't happen to already know that. But it's also, and I bet everybody agrees with this. Give me a 1 in chat if you thought that 2020 was probably the worst time to be without a source of income you control, right? So give me a 1. It's just like, yes, I agree that last year was not a good time to be an employee, and you weren't sure whether you were going to be in a critical business or a non-critical business or semi-critical, and we're back into it all over again. Some states are doing even more lockdowns and stuff like that. So this is something that's going on, right? If you have an income stream that you control, unless you're running like a gym or a restaurant, don't do that, by the way. But right, this is not a good time to not own your own business. Okay. So I'm going to give a solution for both the Amy's and the Bobs and everybody that feel like them. All right. It's a service that is in high demand for every business, one that is easy to sell, and clients stay forever. We have clients that we've had for literally 6 years and more, right? It's cheap and easy to run for you, and it's dead simple to outsource. So you don't actually have to do anything at all except maybe schmooze the client once a month, right? And the reason it's so efficient is there's software to automate the entire process. So as a result, it churns out 86% profit margins every month. Just think about that. Every $100 you bring in, you keep 86, right? That's the kind of business that's going to make you immune from all the stuff that's going on in the world, right? Now, if you're already running an agency, if you're already doing marketing consulting for clients, and I know probably many of you are, then you can instantly add this service for your existing agency clients. Just, you snap your finger and tomorrow you could be doing this as an add-on service for your existing clients. It's that easy to plug in. Or maybe you don't have an agency yet. Maybe you've been thinking about doing services for others or whatever. You can make 6 figures and more with just this one service alone. And the little side agency, and I'll talk about it in just a minute, about that we ran. I mean, this is the only thing we did. It's like, this is the thing we have. If you want it, great. If you don't, go somewhere else. However, I'd also say for all those of you that if you don't really want to quit the day job just yet, and I was there, well, it's been 1985 since I was there, but you can run this as a side hustle in your spare time. $400,000, $500,000, $800,000 a month. I mean, that makes a difference, right? So what is this magical service that's so easy to sell and makes you so much money, right? Well, it's the one thing that every business needs. That's the reason it's so valuable and so easy to sell. And that's affordable, qualified traffic, right? Every single business on the planet. I don't care if it's brick and mortar or it's, SpaceX, right? You need affordable, qualified traffic. Although for SpaceX, qualified traffic is a small number of agencies in the U.S. government. But anyway, so why am I doing this? Why am I exposing all this wonderful thing? You're probably thinking, well, if it's so damn good, Leslie, then it's like, why don't you just do that? Well, because I build software. I've been building software since a long time ago. Just a minute. The agency was an accident. All we were doing was testing our system. The problem was that the clients wouldn't leave. Okay. So, the big reveal in advance here is our software automates 90% of the service I'm going to show you today. It's the only reason we even did the agency, right? It's very simple to outsource the rest of whatever's left over. And it's the software that makes it work, which you will want. I mean, if you're interested in doing an agency that makes you money on very few hours a week, and I'll give you the numbers for that in just a moment, you will love the ROI on doing that. Now Todd already did a fabulous introduction. Thank you very much, Todd, for introducing me. But I've been a software engineer since 1974. I mean, literally, I started when there were punch cards, okay, before even CRT. So I've been a business owner since 1987. So ever since 1987, I've lost track how many years that is. Every single dollar I've spent is a dollar I earned. And you do get used to that after a while, by the way. I've been entirely online since 1995. I started doing affiliate marketing and an ebook and stuff like that, right? Just like most of us, probably, right? I'm known as an SEO pioneer. We'll talk about that in just a moment. But in the process over the years, I've helped literally thousands of small businesses get more traffic. And in some cases, Larry says he worked on Key Punch. Hey, you know what? I know how to use a Key Punch. Anyway, so once upon a time, and this is what Todd was mentioning earlier, it's like, I demonstrate for people how to use link text to beat sites with 10 times as many links, because everybody was using HERE, or click here, here or click here as their link text. And just by literally one afternoon reading the original Google papers by Page and Brin, I figured out, oh my God, this is an amazing, it is a blue ocean. It's so fabulous. Now, in that same paper, I also figured out how to optimize PageRank. Actually, sorry, that's the next slide. In this one, I also figured out that Google treated internal and external linking the same. By the way, they still do. And so I brought out a tool, the very first Site Spider simulator. If any of you are using Screaming Frog, Screaming Frog exists because I had OptiSpider, and they basically did a far better job. I stopped selling OptiSpider a decade ago. Dynamic linking was something that's now called PageRank sculpting, but that's where I showed how to manipulate PageRank. So you've got 1,000 pages on your website, you want 2 or 3 of them to rank at the highest, it's just a simple piece of math that I taught people over the years. And that was the Google trifecta. That was the Google trifecta for 10 years. And all that stuff actually still works today, by the way, but it's not enough. But in the process, I discovered I have sort of a superpower of sorts. I'm really good at spotting what I'll call exploits. It's about understand the algorithm well enough that you can finesse it. That those subtle I hate to use the word loophole, but sure, let's go with that, right? And it's not just in software, it's in all technology. And so this is a really great stop action photo of me breaking a couple of concrete slabs. That's not my personal best. My personal best is 4, but that was for a demonstration. And it turns out it's not really a muscle thing, it's a finesse thing. And I figured out the exploits in order to be able to teach that very effectively. But on Google, and that's the thing we're talking about, well, we're really talking about marketing in general, but yeah, my 3 exploits were like link text is the single biggest ranking factor, which by the way is still true as long as you don't get banned. Internal linking, better than external, and page rank. And like I said, those optimizations still work today, but I'm not talking about that today. Why? Because Google is no longer the lead dog. They're staring up the the behind of the lead dog, and that lead dog is Facebook. Facebook is the single best marketing platform today. Now, that wasn't true when I started building, building the tools I'm talking about today. Wasn't true 10 years ago. We've evolved as the web has evolved, and who knows? Maybe Facebook is the next MySpace. Who remembers that, right? If true, fine, and we evolve. But the fundamentals I'm going to teach you today are timeless, absolutely timeless. We've just done them multiple different ways over the years as the web has evolved. And so I'm going to show you for today at least, and for I think the next at least 5 years, right? I'm going to show you the subtle exploits that let us get the right visitors. I mean, well-targeted, qualified visitors, and more of them at a lower cost than our competition. And in the process, we will make Facebook marketing pay for our Google ranking. So literally, at some point then, wow, Google ranking really is free, because by the way, it was never actually free. But the result of doing all this together is something on the order of like a 10x marketing advantage. Maybe it's 8, maybe it's 16, whatever, but it's in that range of 10x. And I'm going to show you exactly how we do this and how you can too. But the real topic of today's conversation is how we made 6 figures providing that service to other people and how you can replicate what we did. In fact, I would be very surprised if you didn't beat what we did, because we're pretty lazy about it. It's not our focus. We build software. Now, I will say, this is way too difficult to do manually, okay? It is practical only with software, which is the reason we built the software. Okay, anyway. And by the way, most people don't have the software, which is the reason they're not doing this. Okay, so yes, I remember VisiCalc, Larry. And so first of all, the very first exploit is that you can pay to play, and you're going to get way more benefits than if you go free. Okay, I'll describe what I mean by that. All right. So I want to introduce one of my longtime clients and also one of the investors on our company. His name is Rick Howard. He owns Kingdom Magic Travel and in addition a couple other companies. He's does not own a country. That would be silly. He's been a client of ours for, well, a long time now, October 2009. I'll let you do the math. Now get this, okay? He sells travel during a pandemic. So everybody else is crying and moaning and jumping out, 7-story windows. And he actually doubled down on his marketing this last year. He is still in business, which is the most amazing thing in the world, I think. Still spending money on marketing. Oh, what the hell is going on there? Well, I think he has the courage of one of those guys. So that's part of the deal. But let me show you what great stuff has happened because he did this. And so because he's got lots, and we'll talk about this in a minute, I've been working very close with him to do some side-by-side comparisons because he's happy to do the testing, given that he's only spending, look at that, $1 a day. This is one of his, it's 2 of his agents, right? So he sells travel, so he's a broker, he has agents. So on the left, we have Bill, and on the right, we have Jim. Now, Bill drew the short straw in this test because that is non-promoted post, and there's exactly the same content, but promoted on Jim's site. Look at the change there. People reached 112 versus 270. Okay, I'm just going to riff through these. 115, 213, 29, 138. Wish I could do that around every post, right? 28 to 201. There's another outlier, right? With 9 versus 150. Oh, I thought the others were outliers. Okay, the result, and this is just a very small sample of the test, all right? But you can see what's going on here with the increased reach and the increased engagement. Now, if you do lots and lots of these numbers, which I haven't, that would take a while, right? What you find that $1 per day that Rick spends gives him 1,200% greater reach. That's why I say pay a little, get a lot, right? Now, Rick is not doing just this in his own in his own business. He's actually doing it for other businesses. We'll touch on that in just a moment, but this is what he says about it, is that he wouldn't even be in an agency without result flow, just because of the incredible power that the result flow provides there in increasing his reach into his market, right? Okay, well, here's the next little subtle hack. I mean, it's like, most people know these things, just haven't actually measured them. I mean, same thing what I did with OptiLink and OptiSpider. I mean, it was right there for everybody. It was hidden in the open. It was written in a paper, a published paper, was part of their damn dissertation, but nobody happened to really read it enough to understand it. Same with this. Paid organic amplification, it's the name created by a friend of mine named Marty Weintraub, although frankly, he doesn't really make as much use of it as he could. And this is where you pay a little and get a lot. Now, this is a very different view than what I just showed you, but here's a real test case. So it's a side-by-side comparison of 255 non-promoted, that means free posts, versus 215 promoted posts. Well, it's the same website and the same Facebook page in the prepper market. And the average promotional spend on the right-hand column there was $6 per post. $6 per post, not a lot of money, right? And so if you go through and you compare what's going on here, okay, we find, the reach and the reactions and of course, promoted, we got paid reach versus organic reach and, et cetera, et cetera. But look at what's happened here. When we just spend $6 per post, we get 134% increase in organic reach. We'll come back to that. That's the most amazing thing here. Right, and we get a combined reach is way higher. Well, that is interesting. We paid money, but the organic reach went up. Okay, that means that basically 489 minus 209, whatever the number is, a couple of 280, all right? That's free. That's honest to God free traffic for paying $6. Because the $6 only bought the other stuff. It only bought the paid reach. It didn't buy the free reach. That's kind of the definition of free. See, paid reach increases organic reach for free. Now, we'll get to why that is in just a moment. Once you understand what the platforms are about, you will understand absolutely why this has to be true for them. Well, here's lesson 2 in this, and you look at the reactions. Wow, paid $6 and got a 135% increase in the reactions. That's double. So you pay $6 a day, or actually, some of these were longer than one day. $6 per post, right? And you double your reaction. Now I say reactions here, that's the terminology within Facebook, because some of this is engagement and some of it's clicks. Now the key here is social engagement, because that's what actually drives Facebook, okay? So here, real honest to God, a post for one of our longtime clients, that's the amount of reach they paid for. That's the amount they got for free. Oh my God, that's a 10-to-1 difference, right? Now, why? Because who can't click that? Army veterans start second career, okay? Of course, it's so highly engaging. Naturally, there's this really big impact. This is Dan Fox's business. He runs BossLaser.com, and he's been a long time customer of ours, right? Lesser, but still great, another customer. And this gentleman named Michael Giles sells African safaris. Now, you probably can't afford that. I don't think I can. One of his, I don't think maybe I'm allowed to say this, maybe I'm not. But anyway, there's a certain family with the last name Bush, it was a customer. Anyway, so this is not as great as Dan's, right? But still, look, 30% of his total traffic was organic. He paid for 14, he got 7 for free. But look at this engagement. 135 shares, 26 comments, all about honeybees and elephants being terrified of honeybees, which is kind of weird, actually. And this is a normal situation. I don't even know which customer this is, by the way. I graded out, but you can see that here Facebook reports for you in those 2 colors of orange, right? Which is organic, which is paid. And you see that one's mostly paid, right? So, okay, maybe not a complete win for us, but that's not the norm. These are mostly organic. And social engagement is a key. If you look carefully there, right, what's going on is the more engagement is, the more free stuff you get. See, Facebook is powered by engagement. They have to get you to come back. They have to present content that you will like so that you come back again, right? And if you give them that, they will give you free traffic. Well, here's a expert tip. Google is powered by engagement too, all right? And that's why today, to do SEO the best way, unless you're just doing it with maps, that's a whole nother deal, but SEO is a side effect of providing engaging content. So, here's one graph. Again, this is all driven by social engagement. This particular user, I have no idea who it is. That's their organic traffic over whatever period of time that is, 3 years. And the only thing they were doing is running our system. And here's another one, the same thing. And all of this happened only on their own site and their social pages. Now, we actually did an experiment where we got 31 people. Actually, it was 33, but a couple had to drop out. But so 31 people to do exactly what we told them to do, which, by the way, if you've ever tried to get 31 people to do what you told them to, you'll understand why we don't run this experiment very often. But the average growth for those people in 1 year was 79.88% increase in organic only traffic. Now, if you look at the, how that sorts out, you find that, the 50 to 100% and 100%, that's like 17 of the 31 grew by more than 50%, and a quarter of them grew by 100%. So where once upon a time I had the traffic trifecta for Google, right? This is the new traffic trifecta, and it's not really Google. It's Google and all major social platforms, right? A small ad spend will massively increase both traffic quantity and visitor quality. And that's because you are doing for them what they cannot do for themselves. Facebook cannot exist without people posting engaging content and promoting that content through their ad platform. That is a reality. It used to be true of, it's still true of Google as well. I mean, search is just a loss leader to get you to spend ads, right? Facebook gives us bonus traffic for helping them, and they're happy to do so. They want us to do more, right? So they want us to be more successful. And then Google traffic really just tags along for free. Now, it's not because they've got some secret deal between Google and Facebook. I mean, they probably actually do, but not about this, okay? Google and Facebook, however, will be your best partners ever if you just give the both of them what they want, which is engaging content. There is just, however, one problem. You were wondering what the problem is, right, with this, because everybody would be doing it if there wasn't a problem, and that is you got to make Facebook affordable. Most people fail at Facebook marketing and they just give up. I mean, I don't know if you've tried to, in fact, let's go ahead and ask that question. So, give me a 1 if you've tried and failed. Give me a 2 if you've succeeded. Hell, I mean, maybe there's some people in here that are really knocking it out of the park with Facebook traffic, right? I mean, if you're typing a 2, then you're in the minority. Let me tell you, yeah, account got banned. That happens. And so, most people try to make money with Facebook traffic, and they fail. And there are a couple of different reasons for that. But ultimately, if you just, cursor to the corner. Sorry about that. Oh, yeah. Thanks, Bruce. No, sorry, Larry. So look, I mean, most people fail at Facebook, and there are a couple of different reasons, but here's the primary reason, and they're not using what I'm calling the hidden Facebook funnel. Now, you know what? It's not actually hidden. I mean, the Google algorithm wasn't hidden. What they do with link text, they only mentioned like 4 times in the original paper. It's just nobody acted on it. Nobody understood it very well. They also gave the equation for Google PageRank. Nobody understood what to do with it. It was hidden in the open, and so is the Facebook funnel. It actually looks like this. They actually have 3 different audiences in Facebook. And so they have a cold audience, which is people who have never had any experience of your brand, page engage, where they've actually engaged with your Facebook page, and then finally, whoever's fired the pixel on your website. Okay, and then by the way, there's also a sales funnel, but most people think that's the entire funnel. Starts at add to cart, and you got to ask the question: how the hell did people get to add to cart? You got to get traffic to your site before you get people to add to cart. We focus on parts 1, 2, and 3 in that model. We help people get qualified traffic to their offers, and when you do that for any business anywhere in the world today, you are an instant hero. All right, so what is the industry standard, though, is that they ignore this. That's why I call it the hidden funnel. Instead, what they do is they have one big audience, which is everybody in the world, They may do some targeting, you know, like age range and interest, and they put out one single post. What they really do is they split test A, B, and then they figure out which is the best one. And they run it indefinitely. Huge mistake also. And they have one big daily budget. That's it. And then you just say, well, we'll let Facebook optimize it because they've got AI. Yeah, they got AI that makes them money. It doesn't make you money, doesn't make your client money. Well, here's the result of that. And this is published by WordStream, and I should update this. They do it every year or two. I think they missed a year though for reasons that we all know, right? But if you average this out, what you find is the average cost of a click from Facebook to a website is $1.72. Now, okay, you probably say, oh, well, I make $8 on my product, so that's fine. No, because people click more than one time. $1.72 generally is not a sustainable cost of traffic for most businesses. This is not Facebook's fault. As I said, this is hidden in the open. Everybody can do what we do. They just don't know any better. And so what we do is we start with the avatar audience, and you want to grow the people on your page. Let people self-select to be interested in what you're doing, what your client is doing. Attract only qualified traffic from that audience to get them to your site. You pay to get only the right people. Why would you pay more to get people you don't even know are qualified? And then finally, retarget those visitors. Everybody that's been to your website, you know, now they know at least something about you. They might actually like you. And if they do it multiple times, they'll trust you. And then it's time to sell them. Okay. And so we did a test similar to WordStream. Okay. And this is what it looks like. I've exposed a little bit more data there. But the result of our test was that we get clicks to a website for 49.4 cents. Now, that's a lot different than $1.72. It's 3.5 times more traffic for the same dollar. Now, here's a real example. You know, obviously, this is much lower than the average, but this is a site in home improvement. Home improvement, no, personal improvement, right? So, new Facebook audience for actually was less than a penny, right? So, for 1 penny, he's identifying people that should be or claim to be interested in what he's talking about, right? And then those people, once he's in page engaged audience, then it's a smaller group, but it's a more targeted group. He can get those people to his website, first time visitors only, for 3 cents. And then finally, those 3-cent visitors, those people that have visited at least one time, you can get to come back more or less indefinitely for 5 cents. And so, you know, what is this total cost of visitor? Well, it's a little bit hard to go figure out, and I'm not going to go into the math right here, but the fact is he's getting traffic. It's something you cannot touch with anything else. So let's put it all together. We get Facebook promotion does get better traffic because we're targeting it. Those people have self-selected to hear the message. Facebook promotion gets massively more traffic because not only do you better reach from promotion, but they give you bonus traffic on top of that. Facebook pays you to advertise with yet more traffic, right? And Google traffic really is finally free because they tag along. Plus, using the structured funnel, you'll spend 3.5 times less for your Facebook traffic than your competition. Now, I gotta say, right, if you got a 3.5x advantage over your competition, isn't that a good thing? I mean, it's kind of a rhetorical question. I'm not going to ask people to type 1 for that. All right, so who does this work for? Because is this like a special? I mean, those are unicorn businesses? No, it works for every business model. We have people in all of these, you know, affiliate marketing, all sorts of different stuff. I'll show you some examples here in a little while. Physical art, e-commerce, that's kind of our heritage. Lots and lots. I mean, Dan Fox sells high-end laser cutters, for God's sake. Software, we have several folks selling software doing this, including ourselves, because we do what we teach. Lots and lots of consulting and marketing agencies. They're podcasters. I'll show you a couple of ones you probably recognize. And finally, it even works for retail, brick and mortar stores. Okay, yes, that works too, particularly over the last year, right? Hundreds of different agencies, over the last decade have used the result flow successfully. Well, so let's talk about Dan Fox, right? So we already introduced him, but he sells high-end laser cutters for businesses. This is not a Glowforge. This is way above that. His bottom of the rung machine is like $5,000. His other business actually is more expensive. He sells CNC machines. We've run both of those businesses for him for years on the marketing for those businesses. We don't run his whole business. I don't want to do that. And but he's had massive growth in both of those businesses over that time. And so, oh, by the way, right? So set aside any notion you have that you can't sell very high ticket B2B items on Facebook. Yeah, you can. Dan does. We help him do it. Okay. Okay, so what about this guy? Well, travel packages, we already talked about that, but it was working so well for him. He's decided to start a marketing agency for other marketing for other travel brokers, and so he's got two completely different copies of our software. And he's running one internally for his own agents and another one for other agencies. Ed Perry, at the other kind of almost the other end of the spectrum here, sells water filters, right? I mean, where Dan sells something that's like $3,000 to $5,000, Ed is selling something that's like $30, right? But he had in like 2.5 years, something like that, his online revenue has actually doubled. He's been in a business. He's been a customer of ours since 2016. We've actually run 3 different companies for Ed. One of them had shut down and one of them he changed direction on. Daryl Miller sells vitamins online. Oh my God, how would you like to be in that business? You think competitive? I mean, whatever you got going on, if you think you're competitive, just try to sell vitamins. But Daryl's been using our system since 2016. It works for gurus. Ed Dale, a really good friend of ours and one of my corporate advisors, uses this system to get leads at a cost that he cannot do manually. Same with Paul Colligan. He's a podcaster of some considerable repute, and he recognized very early on that this was a game-changing system. Okay, fine. Well, that's the science, all right? Yes, home services, absolutely, Larry. Now, I have a lot of questions here, and I promise that I'm going to answer every single question as we get through this. That's a really good question, by the way. Yes, home services, any trades, anything you would consider blue collar, absolutely fantastic, particularly in the last year. So let's talk about the practicality, though, okay? Like, how do you actually make this work? Well, there's 3 practical realities here. First is social marketing requires content. Now, all marketing requires content. Seth Godin is very famous for saying that content marketing is the only marketing left. And well, that was like, play it again, Sam. He didn't say it exactly that way. It was paraphrased. But moving on, yes, it requires content. All marketing requires content, especially social marketing. Actually, SEO always, well, not always. I got some blank pages to rank way back in the day. But generally speaking, today, it requires content. Exploiting Facebook and Google are a little complicated, all right? Yes, you can theoretically do it by hand. I mean, that's how I discovered it could be made to work, but it really requires automation if you're going to do it on a daily basis, which you have to do it on a daily basis in order for it to work. Now, and this is pretty unique. I mean, no one's ever heard of this. I bet on this call, yeah, go ahead and type a 0 in the chat. Give me a 0 in the chat. If you've never heard of this system before, give me a 0 if this is like new material. There's a structured marketing funnel, and you get paid for engagement, and all the stuff that I've been showing you here, right? Yeah, I mean, you know what? You're not alone. Nobody's heard of this. We've been basically operating in stealth mode until about 2 years ago, okay? Because we really needed to get to it at a scale and get the proof cases in place where we knew that we'd actually really blow this out. So let's talk about the practical realities, right? So first, you must have engaging content. Let's get back to these 2 examples, right? Like, they were highly engaging just based upon the organic and, reach numbers and the shares and comments, stuff like that. But they're like ads that aren't ads, right? They're ads because they're promoted. That's what Facebook means by an ad, is promoted. But look, there are no products. Well, kind of there's a product over on the left. Those two veterans are leaning on one of Dan's laser cutters, but it's not like it jumps right off the screen at you, right? It's a story. It's a human interest story about 2 veterans starting a second career. The laser cutter itself is not really the star of that show. It's the human interest. And same with the elephant. I was like, where does it say that Michael does safaris? See, this is what we call a dog whistle, where all we're trying to do is figure out who might be interested in that. All right, so anyway, you need lots of that kind of content, is the problem. To grow Facebook effectively, we measured you need at least 1 post per day, and we think we may even change that to 2 posts per day. Now, to grow your blog, and I think this may be too low now as well. It certainly has stood us in good stead for the last 4 years, but I'm experimenting with increasing it. So instead of 15 longer posts per month on your blog, I'm thinking of increasing to 30. But I bet you don't want to write all that content, right? I mean, that's one of the things that caused everybody to come to a grind and screech and hold on this. Like, oh, no, 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 I don't want to write stuff. No, 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 no. You know what? I don't either. So, and no service really existed to provide that much content, so we had to invent one. It was required to really get this out into the hands of more and more people. And so we're calling it content on demand because it's kind of catchy. We call it COD, right? And so we were able, with a special system we put together, it's entirely proprietary, we've never taught it, to get human authored content that is totally unique, richly formatted, and a la carte priced at $2.50 each. So you can create new, unique content pages on your website for $2.50 each, as few or as many as you want. This is one of them, okay? There's an abstract, that's that paragraph at the top. There's some key points, so it's a relatively small amount of content, but it's richly formatted. So it looks like it's really handwritten by one human. And then there's a pull quote that's in the blue box, and then finally there's a link to the original article. Well, guess what? That was actually written by a combination of humans and computers. I guess right now there would be a total of 5 people actually touching each post, and it goes through an automated QA process. And so we have an entire factory for this with multiple writers, automated, checking and in-house QA, and it all gets assembled from these multiple writers in this, piece of software, right? And so we have thousands of these posts that are written every month, for users of our system, and those are just literally random sampling. I just pulled out what was in the queue recently. You see, automation is crucial for all of this, and so that's the reason we, actually beginning in 2009, we built this thing that we call Result Flow. Now, that's just a name, but what does it do? It provides automated content marketing for small business. And so, I mean, I bet most of you have heard of what content marketing is, right? I mean, give me a 1 in the chat if everybody has heard, if you've heard about what content marketing is, without even getting into the various different kinds of things that people mean by content marketing, right? But, content marketing tends to be kind of the rage. Rich gave me an 11, okay. But the problem is for most small business owners is that content marketing is one of those big enterprisey things, right? That costs too much money. You have to sort of Curata or content.ly or stuff like that. We've made it we've made it effective and affordable for every small business. And oh, by the way, you can do it for other businesses who don't want to do it themselves and get paid to do it. And so, the first thing we do is the Facebook funnel is really tricky to set up. And I mean, almost none of our clients early on actually got it right, so we automated it. All you do is you select a campaign prefix, and then 30 seconds later, it has it all set up and built in Facebook, and then you can log in and you see it. There's 2 campaigns, 2 ad sets with in each campaign, all ready to run. We have a proven content marketing template, aka a blog. Okay. Again, you push the host it for me button, and it's free, as you'll find out here in just a little bit, and you get a template ready to style. And then you just kind of follow the step-by-step paint by the number instructions. And here's one I did one Saturday afternoon, just as a demonstration. BeatlesOutlet.com. You can go there right now if you'd like. Here's a random selection of some of the blogs built by students. Again, it's all in the same template. It's push button, step by step, paint by the numbers, kind of easy to come up with something that is highly optimized for content marketing. Of course, the software creates a seamless connection to COD. All you do is curate posts from around the web, and we create the content, and Result Flow posts it and promotes it. So all you really do is you have to decide what is good for your market, and then you get qualified traffic as a result, which makes Result Flow really the traffic easy button. I mean, this is the standard sales language, right? I mean, there's nothing to install because it's SaaS and updates and all the things you would expect, right? There's no surprise here. The magic of it is it implements the system that I just described to you. It implements all those exploits automatically so that you don't have to understand them. So our standard customer only really spends about 20 minutes a week marketing. They just check their stats, they adjust budgets where they need to, and they select 10 relevant stories, and Results does the rest. And so you're thinking, well, what the hell? Why would anybody hire an agency to do that? Well, because they don't want to. They don't know any better. Now, bear in mind, Dan Fox, Ed Perry, all of our agency clients, they know we build result flow. They know what we sell it for, and they still don't want to do it. They want us to do it themselves. But in order for you to do that, you'd need the training. And that's fine because we happen to have training. It's called the Easy Agency Code. This is how we made $102,466 a year working just a few hours a week. And it's not like we were punching in and out. It was somewhere between 4 and 5 hours. Nearly 100% of it is outsourced or automated. So if we had to do everything, which is not much, but if we had to do everything, and we'll get to, Pete, we'll talk about how you get clients. It would take more than 4 hours a week, but it's outsourced. So everything is not automated, we outsource it. And guess what? We had to. We have a software company to run. We couldn't be doing this shit. I mean, the only reason we did this at all was to get case studies and, prove out our systems because the people with the software, I mean, they would do what we told them to, right? I talked about that when I showed you that case study of 31 people. It's really hard to get people to do what you tell them to, but it's easy when you're controlling everything. And so we started a little agency. Our profit margin is 80% or higher, and it's actually increased over the years. When it first started out, it was probably even less than 80%. But we streamlined things so that we didn't have to do it, so we didn't have to focus on it. And the result is clients stay for years. I mean, you saw that the clients I showed, and that is not atypical at all. That's the norm. And for us, it's just a side hustle. Like I said, it's not our core business, which, okay, good for you. We'll show you everything we do so that you can do it too. Now, this is what your 86% profit margin looks like. Right? You have to curate some stories and there's some COD fees and whatever. So if you charge up $497 a month like we do, which by the way, I invite you to charge more. I mean, depending on the business, but you can end up without at $497. You could end up with $428 left after it's taking out the direct expenses. Now, that assumes a couple things here. Well, I'm presuming that curating stories is done by VAs. And so if you're going to do it yourself, you're going to keep more, but you have to do a little bit more work, right? So, hey, you can take your pick. This is a unique service in a box. I mean, we include the tools, the support, and the training. All you do is land clients and follow the process. And yes, I understand getting clients is a thing. And so I will talk about both of those things, Pete. You're setting me up a little bit too early, Pete. I got your questions right. Yes, I hate cold calling too, although it's been a long, long time since I've done that. So, I mean, this is what we have is almost a franchise without the fees, right? Because we've got a complete blueprint that's proven, but there's not the kind of thing you have with McDonald's where you have to pay part of your revenue. Now, speaking of fees, I know you're wondering about the price, right? Saying, okay, this is so damn good. Must cost a lot of money. Well, I mean, once upon a time, it cost a fair amount of money. So we first introduced this in October 2019 when my partners woke up one morning and said, hey, about that agency thing, maybe we should be teaching people how to do that. That's a good idea, Dan. Great call. And so we sold it to, just internally to our own followers. And they got that for $5,000 for lifetime access. So they paid one time to get lifetime access to the software and the training and everything. Okay, right. We currently sell it for $1,497 a year on our website. You can get it for that, or you can get it for like $297 a month, which adds up to a lot more money, right? However, just recently, because a couple of my friends have Todd being one of them, has expressed interest in this. We've come out with what I'm jokingly calling EAC Reloaded, Lifetime Reloaded, okay? So we are bringing back the lifetime plan for a very short period of time and only on a very select basis. So unless you have somebody, like as a friend of mine that's introducing to you, you're not gonna find it. You're not gonna find that, indexed on Google. You're not gonna find it, posted on our Facebook page, right? You're not gonna find it, hopefully, on a bathroom wall. This is something you're gonna have to have somebody that's introduced you to me. And so that special price now is for $1,488. That's one time for lifetime. So, that that is a webinar only offer. And if Todd, if you'd like to drop the link into the chat, then I'll continue to teach here and answer some of these great questions, by the way. Other social media channels. Yeah, Ken, we'll talk about that too. Yes, really great questions. I'm sorry, I'm being distracted by the questions. And so, as I said, webinar only, okay? This is not something you're gonna find anywhere else. This is an exclusive link. It's just for friends. That's the reason, for example, you'll notice what the link looks like, okay? I mean, you can go poke around results.com all you want to. You're not gonna find this offer, but if you do /Todd on the end, you're gonna find it. And that's thanking Todd for introducing you to me today. And so, the first thing, let's talk about the software. It's what we call the agency edition. It's the exact same copy of software that we use in order to run our little agency. And we've not taken on a new client in 18 months, I guess, something like that. Again, it's just not our focus. We've got enough people, they stay with us. It's, really low effort for us, and it's enough people for us to continue to evolve our techniques and tests. But, you can run up to 100 marketing funnels, which generally speaking is going to be 100 clients. Every single interface and service that we have available is in this. This is our ultimate edition. You can post as much as you want or as little. It's completely unmetered. And you can have 20 people, outsourcers or even employees, God forbid, if you're that big. And of course, you also have the Easy Agency Code training program. And that, you could run an agency without the training program if you really wanted to, but I just can't understand why you would want to, since you get the Easy Agency Code training for free. So for buying the agency edition software, you'll also get personalized support, of course. This is kind of like checkoff items. Like, we have a support email, like duh. We also have an in-app chat widget. That's the icon for it. We have a searchable knowledge base. So, and we continue to expand that. Basically, I have a person on my team that every time there's a support question that comes through, we try to generalize that and make a knowledge base about it so that it ends up being in search next time. We have an agency-only Facebook group where all the EAC, content is, and where we kibitz among ourselves and share stories. You're going to get live training every Tuesday for 6 weeks. And I say 6 weeks, but we're actually in like week 3 of the program at this point. But all of that stuff is recorded. It's in there in the Facebook group. As soon as you come aboard in the next couple of days or whenever we fill up, and we'll get to that in a moment, you are going to get access to all that live training, everything pre-recorded. You're going to be in there in the Facebook group where you can catch up, ask questions, and whatever. You're also going to get an ongoing live mentorship every Tuesday following the training. And so I call it's a mentorship or mastermind. It's sort of a combination. A lot of people are at the point now where they're becoming advanced enough that they're contributing significantly, but I do lead it, and I have new content for you every single Tuesday about, how to approach some of the things like you're already asking about. About how do you sell it, how do you position your service, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, and there's lots of that. Now, I will say it's fairly high touch, and this is not our primary gig. So the enrollment is strictly limited to just 25 people. And there's quite a bit more than that on this call. So, but first 25, you're going to get all that stuff and more, which I'll talk about in just a moment. But so you can run up 100 clients. You don't have to, because actually just running one client gets you, way into black ink, all the premium features and functions, unlimited posting, 20 team member logins. If you really needed to have more than 20 team members, I guess I'd like to have a consulting call with you to figure out why, because it's not a really high personnel type of business. But if you really did want them, I can make that happen for you. You can create your own custom workflows, but we have pre-installed like the 4 major workflows that you would ever need for most businesses. And you can edit those, add to them, remove items, like you can add LinkedIn, or you can drop Twitter, or you can do whatever, okay? You have the exclusive Facebook group, which we talked about, and the live training and ongoing collaboration. Now, of course, what if you can't make the live calls? I love that picture of a reel-to-reel tape deck. Wow, isn't that cool? Everything does get recorded, does not get recorded on reel to reel. And so, because after all, content marketing is what we do. Yeah. So we do not lose content. We keep that content, right? And the calls are live on Zoom and then streamed to the Facebook group. So you're going to be invited to the Zoom call live where you can get bits with me directly. And then that's also going to be dumped into Facebook for long-term keeping. I will answer your questions live if you're live. I will answer them in the Facebook group if not. And somebody just asked me, one of several people that from Singapore, India, Philippines, places on the other side of the world have asked if they could submit questions in advance, and the answer to that is yes. Now, sometimes I won't be answering the question, but frankly, in the EAC, mostly it'll be me. All right, so does this work for Amy? Well, she can pitch this as an additional service to her existing accounts, right? This is just an add-on, whatever she's doing now, web design or whatever, right? It will definitely make her clients more successful, which should actually improve her client stick rate, right? It's also another way to attract clients. And as we'll talk about in just a moment, it might even be a get in the doors offer. It might be so good that you can use it as a get in the door and then do higher, price things on the back end. For Bob, it's also great because it's a step-by-step process that's already proven, and he just has to plug it in and follow it. And really, it is that easy. It is a paint by the numbers kind of a process. It is, I think, and of course I'm kind of biased maybe, but it's the easiest way to start a marketing agency. Now, okay, I mean, a really easy way to start a really bad marketing agency is just get business cards printed and say that you web design. Please don't do that. I mean, somebody has to do web design, so I shouldn't say don't do it, but it's a terrible agency to be in, I think, because it's so much craft work. What we strive for is to provide a high level of automation so you're not actually, working in the business versus on the business, however, which way that goes. It's a really low effort to sell this service. And as I'll show you in just a minute, because I know some of you who are obviously been around, you know that selling is kind of the thing. And I'll show you what makes this kind of special in that regard. You could start small and grow at your own pace, really. I mean, you don't have to, you start at zero, right? I guess everybody starts at zero, but even with just one client, you're deeply into black ink. You're keeping most of what you sold. So it's possibly the very best side hustle ever. Not just best agency, but it might actually be the best side hustle, period, right? Because you could do affiliate marketing, you can do a bunch of other things, but if all you're doing is just running the marketing, you get everything else. I mean, it's all that other stuff, like you don't have to pack and ship, you don't have to do pricing, and nothing, right? All you have to do is the marketing. So from that perspective, it's probably one of the easiest businesses for anyone to start. Now, I know you have questions. Wow, I've got quite a stack of them already, by the way. And so the first one, and most people at this point in time, they go, I don't understand the system. Well, you know what? You're not alone. Almost no one does. And it would be very surprising to me, even after 58 minutes at this point. I mean, we kind of convinced at the beginning. So with 58 minutes, I really bet that you do not understand the system. Even if you think you understand it, bear in mind, we've been working on it for 10 years, okay? But that's your advantage because your client for sure does not understand it, all right? Absolutely, the people you run into as prospects don't have a clue about this, right? They just want the result. They want better qualified traffic at an affordable price. Now, I will say this, experience is the only real training that's possible. Elon Musk talks about this, how he doesn't care about your MBA, right? So that's why I invented Project Scratch Track. And so, this is a system that, and it's just for sale generally to our customers, but it's included in the program today. And it leads you step by step through creating a brand new business from scratch in 4 weeks or less. Now, I say 4 weeks or less because 30 days is a nice round number for people to think about, but the reality is almost everybody is done in 2 to 3 weeks. And so what I teach there is how you just create a marketing blog, you style the blog, you set up result flow to run content to that blog after you figure out what you're actually going to market. And then you go out to ClickBank, you get affiliate offers. Now, the reason to do this, to get an end-to-end system built from scratch as rapidly as possible so you can really understand the system. That's the point. Now you're going to piggyback on the success of 186 students. That's an old number. I think it's higher than that now. It's tutored and guided, right? I mean, right now it's not a live training. It's pre-recorded, and so it's self-paced. You can do it at your own pace, but it's very active. And if you don't have a niche figured out, that's okay. I have a step-by-step process to help you determine whether or not a niche is going to be successful. Now, some of those blogs that I showed you previously, some of those customer blogs like, Wood Cures and several others, iGarden 101, those are client blogs built through this process, through Project Scratch Track. Now, why would you want to do that? What's the money? I mean, well, maybe there's none, and that's okay, as long as you can show results. So how do I find prospects? Somebody asks, more than one of you actually. Well, at first you can throw a rock, but seriously, there's a system for that, which I'm calling Project Rockstar. And I did this as an 8-week training course for $497 last year. At this point, it's pre-recorded. You get in, work at your own pace. However, in the next 2 to 4 weeks, I'm not sure exactly the schedule. I have to look at that. I'm going to be running it live again because I've created a whole bunch of improvements to it. And so bear in mind that just using result flow, if you just get as far as Project Scratch Track, and so you know how to implement those systems, that's going to put you ahead of 90%, 90% of all marketers. Actually, that's probably a low number. Most people have no clue how to use Facebook. They certainly don't know about the hidden marketing funnel. Rockstar is aimed at the next level, okay? And that's for the people that want to go past just the very high level of automation. And so there are two pieces of that. So one, I'm going to give you my hacks to create effective feature posts very fast. And that can really significantly leverage your brand when you understand how to do that, what to write and how to write it. And then how to take that content and build an email funnel from it. Because one of the big problems that people have in starting in the email is they can't get the lead. They can't get people to sign up, and that's because they don't have anything to offer as bait for that email address. But once I show you my hacks to do feature posts, then you will understand how to combine that with what Result Flow is already doing for you in order to create that opt-in item that's really going to sing and get people to sign up to your email. Also, I don't have this on the slide, but in the next 3 to 6 months, we're still not sure exactly. There are a couple pieces we're still working on. We'll actually have an automated system within Result Flow to do, weekly is typical, but as often as you want, nurturing using a content that's already being built for you or your client. It's an 8-week implementation workshop, and it's directly with me. I'm the only one in the organization that can teach this. So anyway, those are a couple things just in terms of like learning the system and how you actually go about building your own brand so that you have a funnel which is going to get you clients. Well, what's the best kind of client? And it should be a product that's promotable on Facebook. And so guns and knives, not so much. Yes, you can do that. And the people that are selling guns and knives have very little options. And so even just doing non-promoted posting for them is going to put them ahead of the pack. You might actually have to focus on, more on the blog than on Facebook and stuff like that. And certainly, I will tell you that nothing is impossible, so don't discount them. If you have a customer like that or a prospect like that, then I encourage you to reach out to me at support. As a general rule, you want to find, try to figure out what their budget is. And so as long as they're doing $250,000 a year in sales, which is that's a huge portion of the population of businesses, that they're fine, right? And you want to make sure that there's lots of content available. I show you in the training how to determine that. So you just need to have something where there's lots of content and they're just big enough to afford it, and it's better if you can promote. But consumer markets easier than B2B markets, but on the other hand, hey, we use it very successfully for business selling, as do many others. Like Dan Fox sells $5,000 items to businesses. And just bear in mind that nothing is impossible. So it's really only about the price, yeah. But then you have to sell it. And so now I'm decent at selling, but I'm not going to hold myself out there as perfect. But I will tell you some things that I use that I think are, again, kind of exploits. They're hacks, right? So there are basically 3 selling strategies that are the most powerful of all time, and I mean all time. And you know, this would be a good. Who knows? Maybe there's a fourth one I'm not thinking of. So I'm going to ask you. And so, what do you think? Just give me one. Everyone. Just give me one. What's the most powerful selling strategy of all time, in your opinion? I mean, because who knows? There could be a fourth one I'm not thinking of. So you tell me. Anyone? Bueller Fry? Yeah. Puppy dog. Yeah. Referral. That's a good one. Absolutely. Results in advance. Absolutely. Thank you to Frank Kern for that one, right? Free trial. Absolutely, Larry. Man, I'm with you on that. Yeah. So far, Gaynor and Ken both said referral. I don't really consider referral a selling strategy, but it's a pre-selling strategy for sure, because now you're looking at a much more qualified lead. So those are really good answers. Who got any more? Those are good, because I didn't really put free trial here, but it's kind of embedded. We'll talk about it in just a moment. Anyone? Bueller? Fry? Okay, well, that's good enough, right? So we got puppy dog, referral, results in advance, and free trial. And so you actually kind of nailed some of the ones that I'm going to show you. Okay, so that's good. But I didn't discover a fourth one, so whatever. All right, so first is eat your own dog food. And that's not quite a results in advance, right? It's not quite a free trial. It's not a puppy dog either. But when you use yourself, what you sell clients, I mean, it just dramatically changes the conversation, because now you can disclose your own results. And when you walk the walk, you don't need much talk. Okay. The thing is, you kind of shift positions. When you're trying to sell something to somebody and you sit on the same table, the same side of the table next to them and show them how well it's working for you, you just, practice what you preach. Exactly right, Gaynor. And so that is like massive. That is probably the single biggest secret of this, is that it's so easy to set up and so effective. If you're not doing it, then why would anyone buy it from you? Okay. So that's massive. Now, this next one is, you got to be a little careful with what I call reveal the unseen. But, just think about what you've learned today. And this is a small piece of what you will learn in the Easy Agency Code program. The because your client is so unaware and so blind to what is going on that when you reveal just a bit of that unseen world, all right, then you become the proverbial one-eyed man in the land of the blind. Now, I do not suggest you go into this deep presentation I'm doing you folks right now, and even that's like somewhat edited. No, that's not it at all. You just want to, and it kind of goes hand in glove with eating your own dog food. When you can show them some of the charts and graphs and get them to understand things like, wow, you can get new visitors to your website for 3 cents and repeat visitors for 5 cents. That's something, if they have any understanding of Facebook marketing, before you showed up, they're going to be completely awed in your presence. Now, there's a couple of things. One is it, kind of creates a particular interesting dynamic between you and the prospect, and it also gives you the confidence to go toe-to-toe with anybody and say, yes, this works. I know it works. I'm watching it work, and let me show you how. But then this kind of gets into the whole free trial stage, right? And puppy dog close, which is risk reversal. Make the offer too juicy to say no. Now, this is dangerous when you put all the risk on you. You got to be very careful about things like that. If there's a large setup, if there's a lot of, craft work, but when you have the huge margin that EAC provides, you can do this safely. And there's several ways to do it, right? And a couple of you have already said, so puppy dog close, as soon as you get it running, I mean, you could literally do a free trial with this service. I'll show you in a moment what the numbers would look like if you wanted to do that. I don't necessarily recommend that you do it that way. I said there are several ways, but who else is doing marketing services for local or national companies and doing it with a 30-day money back, no questions asked guaranteed? Can you imagine that, right? I mean, you're going to go into this, you're going to build out a website for them, you're going to start choosing content, you're going to run that content for them. At the end of the month, you're going to give them a report that shows what's going on. And oh, by the way, within 2 weeks, you should begin showing a result for them that if you've done a good job explaining the system, right, it's kind of part of the report really, then they should be saying, okay, I kind of get where this is going. Yeah, let's try it another month and another month, right? And so when you're not asking for a contract, right, it's just month to month. When you have given a money back guarantee on the first month, those kind of things, you create this dynamic in their head where it's just an offer that's too good to refuse. And it all comes about because you walk the walk, you be the source of special knowledge that causes them to really have good confidence in you, and you take all the risks. And that is the magic of selling without selling. You just make an offer. I mean, this would be something you'd tell a friend about, right? Hey, I just learned how to do X. Let me show you how. It's an offer, not a sale. Well, okay, but then the next one is like, well, I'm not technical. How do I actually deliver this stuff? Well, almost no one is technical, particularly compared to me. I mean, I learned computer programming when I was in grade school on on an IBM mainframe. All right, we provide simple step-by-step instructions, and support is always close at hand. But you know what? When you're first starting out, we recognize there's still a kind of a still a confidence barrier. There's an emotional barrier there. And so you can just piggyback on our team. All right. We have a team. And guess what? They're not busy. I mean, we haven't really kept our agency really filled up. Okay. It's not our focus, right? And so you can use our setup service. What they'll do is they will style your blog style your client's blog for you. They'll select the images to fill it out. They'll find content sources, and they'll select the first dozen posts. You're set up for the first week to 10 days. And they'll have it done in 2 to 4 days at a cost to you of just $98 one time. And that's just passed through. I mean, we might make $2 or $3 on that. I'm not entirely sure until we start really getting it up to scale, right? Well, the other one is like, well, I don't really have time for anything else. I'm so busy. Well, okay, wait a minute. Let's investigate that. So a client takes you about 15 to 20 minutes a week. So I'll call it an hour per month, okay? And you can sell these clients for $497 a month. So now do you have time? Okay, I'm not, trying to be all up in your face, but we can all find an hour for $497. If I just called you up, said right now, hey John, hey Ken, hey Pete, I'll give you $497. This will take about an hour. I bet you'd find the time, right? Okay, in a month you can find the time. Just saying, all right. Now, but you know what? If maybe you really are swamped, like, well, hell, I am. And so, okay, use our curation service. Like one more time. I mean, you can just use our you can use us to, us, not me, VAs, to pick stories, fill up your workflows in ResultFlow and your copy of ResultFlow, and then send you a template report every 4 weeks. And your cost is $30 a month. Now, okay, you're wondering at this point, it's like, why in the hell would I ever do this myself? Well, the reason is at scale, you can actually save more than that, and I'll show you that in a minute. Now, why are we doing this? Well, like I said, I mean, it's really just to get you started. Please don't use our team forever. I mean, well, okay. I mean, if you're going to do this as a side hustle, right, and you're only going to have 2 or 3 clients, then maybe it doesn't make sense to do anything other than what I just showed you, right? You get a new client, you pay us $98, and and then $32 a month, and we're just running the whole thing. And all you have to do is take the report, read it, add your own commentary about it, and send it to the client, and maybe have a phone call with them or a Skype chat or something like that, and that's like your whole damn business. And so, like I said, if it's just a little tiny side hustle, okay, that's not bad though, right? At $497 a pop. For most of you though, as soon as you taste 2 or 3 clients, you're going to want 5 or 10, and at that point, instead of paying us 32 times 5 or whatever at 320 for 10, right? You're going to want to do this yourself, because then you're at sufficient scale where you can do it even cheaper. I mean, we're kind of passing it through, but you're going to find some economy of scale. And that allows you to serve more clients and make even more money. And by the way, you're wondering, okay, and somebody actually asked this question about VAs. Where do you find VAs and how do you train them and all that? Okay, our team is building the training to train your team. And so this is like, it's a little bit of a meta thing, but so it's not really quite done yet. We're wrapping up in the next few days. We're wrapping up the training on how to build the reporting. Most of the onboarding, actually, I think all of the onboarding is already done. Yeah, all of the onboarding instruction is done. Most of the curation and setup instruction is done. The reporting, how to build all those reports, we're redoing because we've made the reports better. So it's not quite done, but it's in a few days. So certainly by the time you had a client that needed a report, it'd be more well than done, right? All right, but okay, well, what do I say to clients? Well, remind you, right? You will know far more about marketing than any prospect you run into. There is no way that a person has time to run a business and learn enough about marketing that they would know even the stuff that you've just learned in the last hour. Okay, so that's first thing. But all right, what do you say to clients? And that's where I talked about the fill in the blanks report format, and the benefits are incredibly easy to explain when you see these for the report. You'll just figure it out. I mean, it's really cut and dried. Any business owner that understands anything about marketing, and if they don't, they're not a good client, is going to get it just right off the bat. Okay, and that's the reason our clients stay literally for years. Now, can you really do this in your spare time? Well, yes. This is Susan. She does. Susan has a very successful online store of her own in e-commerce, and plus she has a client on the side. It's the usual deal for those like me. Like you guys have a pickup truck. You know what happens, right? Well, it doesn't happen to me much anymore, but when I was younger, it did all the time. It's like, you have a pickup truck. Can you help me move? Right? So online marketing is the new pickup truck. As soon as somebody finds out that you know SEO or online marketing, it's like, oh yeah, you know what? I have this little website I've been trying to do something with, and there you go, over the cliff, right? Now, we ran 20 clients in 4 hours per week. And so doing a side hustle, right? I mean, it's 30 minutes, something like that, tops, okay? You can absolutely do it. And I would say just start, because one client makes you a profit. Now, people have asked me, do we have a payment plan? And maybe some of you already found it, because yes, we do. I know the cash flow is a real thing. I mean, I use payment plans oftentimes as well. And so on the order page, which is a resultsflow.com/Todd, you'll find at the bottom right, there's actually a green button that you can press, and you'll find the payment plan if that's what you need. And so, just to reiterate, right, this is the top of the line. We don't have a way you can buy more stuff from us. That's the reality of it. There is nothing left for me to give you at this point. We got all the software, all the training, those Project Scratch Track and Rockstar bonuses. And there's one other thing, and nobody has actually brought that up yet, but there's the whole content on demand. And so I'm going to give you $100 to get started. Now, everybody that signs up with ResultFlow gets $10, but I'm going to add another 90 to it. And so $100 of content on demand at $2.50 each. You can go do the math here, but it's enough for you and a couple of clients for a month, okay? And so, add that, and I forgot to change the build on this, right? So add that to the stack. So now I want to backtrack just a little bit and ask you, did I keep my promise to Amy and Bob? Right? Well, I hope you're convinced it's a service in high demand, affordable, qualified traffic. Every business wants that, whether it's, feet in the door, calls on the phone, visits to the website. This is easy to sell, and clients stay, rounding off, forever. I mean, we have had some clients leave. We have one client paused because his retail stores have been shut down. Kind of sad. But mostly they just don't leave, okay? And that's good for you. It's cheap and easy to run. I've shown you how to do that. You can either do it yourself, or you can have us do it for you, which certainly takes away the need for any sort of special skills. And obviously it's pretty easy to outsource, and we'll even show you how. The profit margin you get if you're doing it yourself with your own internal team is 86%. We routinely get that month after month. If you're going to use our team, it's going to be a little bit less than that, but it's not going to be much, right? And you get all of the tools and the training to be successful fast. And I know some of you really have a need for speed. And so how do you do that? Well, get just one client, right? And then use our setup service, $98. So you pay $98 and you get it set up, and you'll have that done in like 2 to 4 days. And then use our curation service in month 1. Now it's actually a little bit longer than that, because when setup service, when you're set up, you'll have preloaded, 10 to 12 pieces of content. And so if you also sign up their curation service, then the first 5 weeks are handled and you'll get the first report. And at that point, there should be 2 to 3 weeks of really positive results to convince your client to stick around. And so that means you keep about $367 in month one. So just go do it again. And then you keep $832 in month two because you're not paying the setup service. And that's not life-changing, but do it 2 more times than it is, right? And so it's kind of time to make a decision. We're getting close there, right? I still maintain this is the best time to own a marketing agency. And I guess I'd like to know whether y'all think so too, right? Do you think now is a good time to be doing marketing for other businesses? Give me a 1 in the chat if you think now is a good time to help other business owners market their businesses. I mean, it could be retail, it could be online, it could be whatever, right? Right now, what you're finding, if you go look at the numbers from the Small Business Administration, there has been this massive uptick in new business starts. And all those people are going to need more qualified traffic, and they're going to need to be able to afford it. And yes, the cost of Facebook ads, we'll get to that in just a moment, John. Really good question. I should have had that as an FAQ. I apologize. I'll add that the next time I do this when one of my other friends finds out what I'm doing. But yeah, it's like right now, I think it's absolutely the best time in history. And I've been through quite a bit of history. And so, it's always going to be in high demand. And so, even in the big downturn in 2000 and 2008, right, there were still marketing companies, ripping it up out there. And Result Flow makes it easy and highly profitable for you. Now, you could sign up later and pay every year or every month, but that would be kind of silly when you can just start it right now and pay just one time for lifetime access. And of course, I told you about the importance of risk reversal. So of course, I'm practicing what I preach here. There is zero risk to you today. Try it for full 30 days, market your own agency with it. Okay. I really encourage you to do that. Create or update, upgrade your blog or use our free hosted blog. We'll talk about that in just a minute when we get into the questions. Use free content, grow your Facebook audience, keep all of that and still get all of your money back. All right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to paw through these questions right quick. Wow, which is like we're going to have to scroll 3 times to get to them all. Let's see here. Let's see. Gaynor says paid juices your organic. That's exactly right. It's actually, it's really an outright gift. What's going on with the bonus traffic is just an outright gift. If you kind of look at the way the algorithm must be coded there, they're benefiting the things that actually work just to be sure that you do more of it, right? So yes, the replay, assuming the GoToWebinar gods are not screwing with Todd and me, then yes, there should be a replay. I never like to promise that because I've been caught. Looks like 7 really. I have no idea what that's about. Looks like 7 really listened. No idea what that means. Let's see, account. Okay, yeah. So banning of accounts does happen. Now it depends on whether it's your ad account or it's whether it's actually at your personal login level. And there's nothing I can say about that in a public forum. But it's actually not the end of the world in either case. Let's see. Waste book. Oh, I'm going to use that. Thanks, Bruce. Waste book. Well, yeah, except my entire business is based around the incredible success that can be achieved. But I like that waste book. I don't know why I hadn't thought of that. Let's see. Home services. Yes, Larry, home services. And I said, I would say, don't do plumbing because it's so-called, highly transactional. But like everything else, like, roofing and remodeling and just going down the list, those things are fantastic in social media. They're classic B2C kind of deal. And it's where, social proof and all those things, it's like absolute king. And one of the best ways to do that right now is to be everywhere on Facebook and other media. So no, actually home services is a killer. Absolutely great. Yes, curation. So Larry, we don't, I mean, it's like we're careful about when we say curation, because some people think that curation means what I call auto posting, auto blogging, where you just copy people's content and republish it on your own site. And there are a variety of problems with that, not the least of which is legal. And so what we do is everything is 100% unique, but we are drawing upon existing material. Now, I didn't have time to talk. I mean, we're already an hour and a half, right? And so what I didn't go into is how we are piggybacking on the wisdom of the crowds. We know that what we're posting is going to be attractive to the target audience because we found it out there already being attractive to the target audience. So there's a kind of this incestuous what we previously called the virtuous cycle, and I probably ought to put that slide in the deck at some point. But there's this feedback loop that's going on there, so that when we pick a piece of content, we're not guessing if that's going to be good for the market. We've already done that by the way we pick it. And so, yeah, Copyscape, it's fine. I mean, there's nothing necessarily wrong with Copyscape. What we do, we make sure that it is unique compared to the originals, and that the way we have it written, it ends up being nicely structured, nicely formatted, so that most people don't even realize what little effort went into it, frankly. Let's see, how do you get clients? So Pete, yeah, and so first of all, just ask. But the reality is, if you're actually using, as I encourage everyone to do, if you're using the result flow system to market your own website, then you are going to put there a lead funnel. However, in order to get the first few, you're probably going to do word of mouth and other techniques like that. Okay. Yeah, the other thing, we've been looking at is the possibility of using solo ad placements and through Udemy and some things like that. So I think there's a bunch of different ways to do that. And we've got some invited speakers that are coming up in the Easy Agency Code training that are going to provide their own view on that. And yeah, we don't do cold calling. I've never really done cold calling, to be honest with you. VAs, pretty easy. There are a couple different ways to do that. We did ours through referrals. So I'm going all the way back, in my case, prior to actually forming this company. You can also, because we make all of the documentation available to, for all the process documentation and for the training for VAs, you can also go to some place like 123 Employee with Davin Michaels, or I forget what John Jonas calls his outfit. But we just literally advertised for the first several. And once we got a couple, then we asked them for their friends that they could recommend. And in the Filipino and Singapore culture, they're very, very careful about that. So that works extremely well. Can you go over how to sign clients for this? Yeah, so there's really and again, it's kind of, if you're walking the walk, you can literally just show them, like for your little affiliate website, if you build one of those, or even for your own agency, if you want to do that, you can show them. So this is what I do, and this is what the result kind of looks like, and you can see here what's going on, and this is how that would map over to your business. Would you like me to do that for you? And like, well, all right, what's the cost? Da, da, da. Now, they're going to probably come to you in various states, right? So they may not even have a Facebook page or a Facebook account, or whatever, right? So you have to like suss that out just a little bit. And there is an onboarding thing which you have to do with the client, just because of Facebook authentication and privacy policy kind of stuff. You're going to have to walk through that. Now, if you're doing that over a Zoom meeting, or Join Me or something like that, it can work really well. And so you can do almost all the button pushing while the client is there. That's the last thing that they have to do. That's the last action they have to take, is really just setting up the Facebook account, funding it, right? They might have a credit card in there to pay for ads. After that, you've got all of the access and all the control you need to actually build it out. And or you can just pay our ladies overseas to do it for $98. Do you ignore other social channels? Well, Ken, it depends. And so for a B2B market, we always want to include LinkedIn. And we always, just because it's easy to do, we almost always have Twitter turned on unless somebody has something against it. But that's about it. And so the short answer sort of is yes, because they are not, everything is 80-20, right, at some level. And so it's like they're they're really not a big enough change, compared to the 80 where they're doing with Facebook, unless there's certain, like I said, LinkedIn is really important B2B, but that's the outlier. And so most of them don't matter. And people talk about Instagram and stuff like that. It's really hard to automate because of the different, formats for photos and stuff like that. Yes, you can do it. And we have talked about that before, and there's some stuff in our FAQ in the knowledge base. But in general, what we try to do is we just get to the 80% mark, because the reality is that is so much more. It's just doing the standard simple stuff, what I call simple, in result flow, you're going to be so far ahead of what your client was doing before, or what any other marketing agency would be able to do for them. That's like, why beat yourself up? Why try that hard? Howie had something similar. Well, yeah, okay, Howie. Well, yeah, kind of. 12 years, but it never worked. Yeah, 12 years ago, right? So when the very first additional result flow that actually worked was the spring of 2011, and the world was very different then. In terms of marketing online. Facebook wasn't a thing. We were still using easing articles and stuff like that. And so, yeah, the stuff that Howie was doing was more like PR broadcasts, as I recall. Okay, so Francis needs a 3-pay. Well, you know what? Yeah, I tell you what, you could support at resultflow.com. Spell my own damn domain name. Support at resultflow.com. Right. So if you need anything special, okay, then I guess tell me, and we'll see what we can work out, Francis. Yeah, agency lifetime, yes to that. Good. Yes, I like Bruce. I love the answer yes in that context. 20 employees they don't have to be employees, John. It's just helpers. And so we have never had that many helpers. That's so why is it 100 personas? Why is 100 projects or marketing funnels? And why is it 20 employees? Those were just picked out of my ear as numbers that sounded infinite. Just saying, okay? It's like I don't know anybody that needs 20 helpers for this. The whole point of it is it's highly automated, but you have that option. If you need 20, great. I say that 100 is infinite, but that's not true. Like Rick has 2 copies, and what's his name? Amir has 2, because he's got basically 2 entirely separate agencies focused differently, which, okay, most of you, 1 is enough, right? If you fill out 100 clients at $497 a month, do the math, right? You'll be fine. What categories of info do you cover? From Jeffrey Sternberg. I don't really know quite what that question is. Maybe you can ask it again. Yeah, I'm not clear on that. You do need, moving on, Alexander is asking, do I need to have an FB ad account for this? Well, your client does. You don't need an ad account. You just need to have a Facebook account so that you can be added to administer theirs. Now, for your own business, if you're gonna, which I highly recommend, you market your own business the same way, then yes, you need an ad account for your own business. Let's see, how do the blog posts relate, translate, or convert to the high engagement FB posts? I might have missed that connection. Yeah, and this in 1 hour, I have to like remove a lot of the detail just in order to get through it without causing your heads to explode. I'm assuming I actually did that successfully. And so the kinds of content at the top of funnel are actually third-party things we call dog whistles. They have none of your client's brand design or anything. It's only there to complete your to add to the page engaged audience. The blog posts are what get promoted to that page engaged audience. And so there again, I really should have a diagram of that, I suppose. But and so when you create a new blog post through COD and it gets posted to the blog, then that automatically goes back into the result flow and gets promoted to the page engaged audience on result flow. And that's what drags traffic from Facebook, and also provides the social signals, which ultimately filter through, the catacombs of the interwebs, to actually, give it some ranking power as well. In your cost, you said 69, but I not see Facebook ads cost. Yeah, I did not put Facebook ads cost in your, I really should have done that. But the thing is, your client is paying the ad. You're not allowed to, by Facebook guidelines, Facebook terms of use, to pay your client's ad cost. And so, your client has to have a business page. They should have a business manager. We absolutely require it actually for all of ours. And they're going to have their own ad account, and they're going to fund that ad account with a payment method of some sort, of credit card, right? You are going to get added as an admin to all of that, so that you can go in there and make things work for them. But you are not going to be paying for their ads. You are going to be recommending how much they should pay. And to that point, you should start them out at $3 a day. However, you're almost never going to spend all of that, and you should always get a commitment from them to be able to get more than that, right? So you should start out with a conversation that says, we're going to spend a lot less than this, in the first couple of weeks, but at some point we're going to ratchet up to something like $10 a day. That's only $300 a month, and is that acceptable? Because if it's, and by the way, watch carefully, because if that's not acceptable, I'm not sure you're talking to the right person. Okay, that's beer money. And so what's really going to happen is, because they probably have a brand new ad account, brand new Facebook page, they probably have no pixeled audience, maybe the pixel wasn't even installed on their website, yada yada. You're not even going to be able to run ads. And so you could set the budget at Facebook at $10 a day. It's still only going to spend one or two. All right. So you're going when you're first starting out, when you're ramping up, and I cover all this in the training, you're going to end up spending a lot less of the client's money than what they have authorized you to do. Can you tell us how to get clients without cold calling? Do we run ads to clients? What do you do? And so now we're not doing really any, and that's from Pete. So we're not doing anything right now because I don't want any more clients. However, the way we've gotten them in the past was the classic, opt-in marketing. Okay, so we tell business owners, through the interwebs, we tell business owners, what they're missing out on, or how things actually work, or yada yada, and they opt in for that report, and then we sell them on the service. Now, depending upon who you're targeting, if you're targeting local businesses, I mean, there's some opportunities there that are very different, and it really kind of depends upon how much you want to be, doing this, personally, or whether you want to have automated systems for it. Initially, I recommend that you just kind of ask around and find somebody as to be client number one. And we all know business owners in our local area. You could probably benefit from this, and it would probably be a lot easier initial sell while you're getting everything else wrapped up. But some of you already know how to go do email marketing too. You can probably go get opt-ins. Certainly, you should use Facebook. And so what we have running, for the result flow business, we've got a top of funnel, which is filling our page audience, and we also have that page audience is being driven to our blog, and then anybody that's actually end up being pixeled, right? They get a stream that's actually in what we call a repeater, and so it's not new content. It's just best of the best. It's being recycled over and over again every 3 days, and so just building some of the kind of hero content that you can recycle. That's how you're going to get a lot of those people onto a landing page where you can get them to book a call. And we have several of the folks in the agency, the EAC program, that are doing it that way. What their call to action is to book a call. Let's see, can this employ in languages other than English for international geographies? Well, yes, except our COD service does not provide anything other than American English right now. American English is sort of an oxymoron, isn't it? So you'd have to do something different about content, and but everything else about the system works fine, except the user interface will not handle double byte character sets. And so if you expect to use it in Chinese or classic Japanese, then it's not going to work. But every other language, actually, I think it might actually work right to left, but I don't know that I'm going to say that. I think it might actually be just left to right languages too. We would need to get VAs trained. Well, John, not initially, certainly. You can borrow our VAs. You can do it yourself, which is actually kind of an interesting learning exercise, and it's not very hard to do. I have like BeatlesOutlet.com. I did all that myself, and it took me 26 minutes. I recorded the thing and used it in a webinar previously. So, I mean, you got several different options there. And like I said, our VAs are working on the training to train other VAs. How many niche X in same town could be handled is the content to each client? That's a really good question, Ken. Yes, very good question. And so, yeah, I mean, once you can figure out, one dentist, then why not do all the rest, right? And so first of all, you could, if you wanted to, I don't recommend it, reuse your COD content. But like I said, I don't recommend it. Every time a request goes into COD, even if it's the same article twice, it's going to get a separate article. It's going to get a separate output. So there's no scheme in there that says, oh, well, this URL was seen before, so we'll just reuse something. We don't do that. And so every output from COD is unique. Now, if you're given what you just said there, you're talking about a local business, and there's some training. I have to figure out where that training is. Now that I think about it, I haven't looked at it in a while. For how to do that, where you're going to do multiple businesses in the same vertical within the same geographic area. It's really straightforward. It'll surprise you as soon as you see what I do there. You'll think, oh, well, duh. There's also something I'm working on with yet another friend, actually a close friend of Todd's, about building local directory sites, community or directory sites. And that's also a very, very fertile area, by the way, where you can build something. And now you can, you're running your own site, and you're doing an advertiser supported thing where you're charging ad costs and stuff. So, there's some kind of clever ways here to be basically double dipping if you're going to do local marketing. One of our clients way back, and he's not doing it anymore, did exactly that. And so I'm kind of picking up where he left off. I had to step out, but did you show the members area? Pete, no, I did not show the members area. That's a good idea. I probably should do that. Thank you. It's a Facebook group. We've run our own portals before, and it's just one thing another. I really kind of hate Facebook groups, but then I hate the alternatives too. So right now we're using a Facebook group. And given what we do, the kind of marketing process we have running, you kind of have to be in Facebook on a regular basis anyway, so it just made sense. Work for servicing local contractors. Yes, absolutely, John. Works great for any, like I said, you'd rather it wasn't something highly transactional, right? Like plumbers, where nobody looks around for a plumber until the toilet stopped up, right? But for almost anything else, yes, for like mechanics or roofers or remodelers or lawn care, any of those things, yeah, it's great for that. Let's see. Replay, yes. What niches is the content slatted toward? The content. The content is created about whatever you've curated, and so it's specific to that niche. And so there's not like a set of sources that we use. No, quite the opposite. And so for any particular new client, right, there's a thing we call the avatar worksheet, and that's used in either by you, by your VAs, by our VAs, doesn't matter. But that's how, certainly internally, this is what we use, and we recommend you use the same thing, where you map out the demographics and psychographics and existing interests for the audience that you're trying to target. And you use that to feed into the process to come up with the content sources. And so the content, then you select an item which is going to be appropriate to that audience, and you feed it into the COD process, and out pops a unique article built on that content. To go from scratch to success, 400 hours. Let's see. No, John, great question. I'm trying to think about how to actually answer it. And so, I mean, let's put it together into kind of the pieces. So there's like, call it finding and closing the client. Okay. And then there's the setup. And then there's the first 2 weeks, which are your busiest 2 weeks, because you'll be adjusting ad spend every couple of days, and you'll be checking to make sure everything is working, right? Because there's nothing worse than a new machine. And so particularly when it's the first time you've done it, right? And so, going forward, yeah, you can spend an hour a month to service a client, but in the first month, you're going to need to put in a little bit more work than that. But let's say that you use our team for everything you can, right? So you're going to spend $89 for the setup, so that's out, that's off your list. And then, that'll get you about a week of content, and then you're going to, sign up for, $32 for the next 4 weeks, and that also gets you your first report popped out. And so, and you sign up a client, and it's like you add it all up, it's probably like 6 weeks of calendar time before you kind of run out of our curation service, right? Now, how much time have you spent over that? Well, you had to land the client, and you had to do the Facebook setup, because we can't do that for you. You can't do it for yourself. You've got to involve the client. So you and your client have to do that. It's straightforward. We have training for it, and you just have to read through it. Well, how long will it take you? I guess it kind of depends on the client. 30 minutes, maybe. I mean, I know, we can do it faster as long as the client is on top of things, but let's call it 30 minutes that you're going to spend on that. You're going to spend some time learning the software so that you're confident that, things are working the way it should be. But that's the single sunk cost for your very first client. Let's call it 2 hours, something like that. Okay. And so in the first month, maybe you spend 3 hours, maybe you spend 4 hours, something along those lines. You're not going to spend that in the second month and beyond. That's not going to happen. Now, how long does it take the client to get a result? Well, if you sign them up on a Monday and the setup is done on, say, Thursday, which would be about the longest it would take, and then you start adjusting the the Facebook spend, and allocating between the different ad sets. And so then it's like 2 weeks after that, say, so let's say it's let's just round off the next Monday, and then 2 weeks after that. So at the end of the third week, you're beginning to show real results. You've got a stable system actually running, and 1 week after that, now you've got enough to graph that you can explain to the client what's going on. So at the end of 4 weeks, from the moment in time you get a yes and do a hoop and holler, then you've got at the end of 4 weeks, which will be, let's see, in this scenario, that'd be like 1 week before our report popped out of our team, but whatever, somewhere along those lines, then you'd actually have a real result to show a client, and you could have that discussion about whether or not they're going forward or not. In general, I don't know why they wouldn't want to stop. Particularly since when you found them, they probably did not have a blog. They probably don't even have a Facebook ad account. They might have a Facebook page that they're posting to organically. And so when you come on the scene, you're just like completely blowing up their world. That things should be running so much better in 3 weeks than as ever has before. They should be getting so much more response from social media. They will wonder, why they ever doubted social media. So risk reversal, easy for you as you have most ingredients done already. Well, risk reversal, kind of. So John was asking about risk reversal. Why is it so easy and so safe? And it's because there's so little cost. Like let's say, for the sake of argument, that you get somebody on board for $497, and you pay my team for $98, right? Because this is the worst case scenario. And then you don't sign up the curation service because you're not really sure they're going to stick. And so you just do that for a couple of weeks. Now you're almost at the end of 4 weeks. And so now you're at that point in time where if they wanted to take a money back guarantee, they'd probably be telling you, right? So what have you spent? You've probably spent half an hour getting Facebook set up with the client. You've probably spent a half an hour total in running curation for that site. And you paid $98 to my VAs in order to do the blog and, set up curation, system for you. So you're out $100, but okay, but hang on, what's the likelihood that that's going to happen? And you see, this is so different than what they've ever experienced before. And it's so easy to show a meaningful result early that the likelihood that they're going to ask for their money back is very low. The process of getting your first client, let's say a roofer, I would not cold call them. If you wanted specifically a roofer, okay, I'd try to find one, that I had some personal relationship with, but lacking that, there are some other processes, but I guess the first thing I'd say is why a roofer? And so you probably know somebody that you have some relationship with. If you're going to focus on local, you probably already know somebody that you can talk to and say, hey, well, what if I do this for you? I'm starting this business, I bet you want some more qualified traffic, right? I would start with just anybody, okay? And then in the meanwhile, you're going to build your own agency website, and you're going to start talking about your successes, okay? And as you do that, a case study, yeah, you know what? Case studies are the coolest content ever. As soon as you do that, now you just need to promote that to your target audience. To do that, you obviously dial in the right demographics, the right geo in Facebook. That's because your roofer that you want to get, he's on Facebook. Okay. Don't have trained VAs yourself. No, you have to give them the training. Our VAs are not going to call up your VAs and train them, but we'll give you the training manual. With an e-com business, actually, most of our customers, frankly, are e-com businesses. So, Dan Fox is e-com. Ed Perry sells his water filters, online. Susan Miner sells her goods online. Daryl Miller sells his vitamins online and in a store. It works great. Let's see. How do you find the client and talk about the product? Well, I don't do sales well. And you know what? You don't have to do sales well. Like I said, that's the reason for the 3 greatest real sales strategy is show what you've done, and get them to imagine what it's going to do for their business and move on. What does the process look like? Well, I showed you one diagram of a workflow, one of the workflows that's operating behind the scenes, but the process itself is really simple. It's, you don't have to actually even know what's inside those boxes. But maybe I'll try to get, I'll have to dust off that. I did a live demo of setting up a brand new website, and maybe I can dust that off and put it on the replay page. But yeah, it's extraordinarily simple. We have a browser plugin which we actually use to go around and select content. And once you click a couple buttons, then everything else is automated. Cost of Facebook ads, like I said, I would want to get clearance from the client to spend at least $10 a day, but they're not going to spend that much until probably 10 days in, by the time the audiences are large enough for Facebook to spend that money. Retail business, same thing. It'll work for a retail business. It'll work even for a restaurant or a nightclub. It's the type of content you use is different, right? So when you're working in local businesses, you're going to have some contents about the business or about what the avatar is actually interested in, the client's prospect, but it's also going to be mixed in with content about the local area. So what's going on in your city, local events, and that kind of thing, in order to make their marketing site attractive to that local demographic. Okay. And I've gotten enough comments about local on this webinar that I guess I really should. I'll go see what I have about that specifically and try to get that for everybody. Already. Oh, sounds extremely. I'm already a customer of yours. Okay. Okay, well, thanks, Mark. Let's see. Facebook ads are like a boat, a hole in the water into which one throws money. Well, Gaynor, not when you do it right, but certainly if you're going to do $1.72 a click, that's what it's going to feel like. I guess Mr. Avi asked for links, but I think we already did that. Why work for roofing but not HVAC? No, they're not transactional. I mean, no, HVAC is not transactional in my view. I mean, people don't. Well, okay, yeah. Once upon a time when I was a kid, the furnace broke and it was the middle of winter in Downers Grove, Illinois. Okay, yeah, it was transactional, right? Couldn't use the internet too, by the way. Phone book. You've probably heard of them. It's rare though. I mean, most of HVAC business, tell me if I'm wrong, John, but most of HVAC is pre-planned, it's shopped for, it's a little bit longer buying cycle, and there's a lot more analysis that goes into it than plumbing. Okay. Roofing, same way. It's very rare to have a roofing emergency unless it's right after a Florida hurricane, right? Can you show several full posts? Yeah, I can. I didn't. Sorry. Well, I showed one full post, and then I showed a smattering of others. So I guess you could pause that in the replay. They're all about the same. I mean, they have exactly the same format. The writing is not going to, sell any novels, but I mean, we check it for basic grammar and spelling. It goes through some automated filters for that, and we do an ongoing QA to make sure that our writers are not, gaming the system or whatever. It certainly meets the standard. If you just look around the web, you'll realize that there's almost no great writing on the web, and so we're right in there. That's where we're targeting. Sounds like this will interleave very nicely with our business mentoring biz, says Mark. Great, excellent, glad to hear it. Certainly business mentoring. I mean, you're talking about B2B clients. You'd want to add LinkedIn to the puzzle, and there's an existing marketing persona template for that, a B2B template. Oh, Francis Bott. Thank you very much, Francis. Appreciate it. Welcome aboard. Healthcare niches, dentists, plastic surgeons, med spas. Absolutely fantastic. There is just one little bit you have to be careful of, and you have to be careful not to stray across the lines at Facebook. And so if it's medical, so if it's anything that is an ailment, you got to be careful that you don't appear to be targeting individuals with that. And then when you get into plastic surgeon, you have to be a little bit careful about the imagery you use. Okay. And it doesn't make any sense really when you get right down to it, but that's okay. It's well understood. And so as long as you accommodate it, you can do very well with all of those niches. I did not show a demo of the software, Pete, but I will endeavor to do that. Yes, I will put together something for you. Can you put the offer slide up? Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just sitting here with the question slide going. Well, let me put up, that one, I guess. Well, that's not really the offer slide, is it? Hang on a second. Let me go back. We probably want all the way back here, I'm thinking. Let's see. That's a great picture, though. We should leave that up there. Let's see. Oops. Oh, here it is, right there. Yeah, there we go. That's it. I should have left that on. I'm sorry. I should have left that up. That was a bonehead move. Not a smart marketer there at all. Let's see. Link. We did that. So do you provide opt-in funnel in your package? No. And so Yeah, let me explain that. So, you know, result flow is only about qualified traffic to a page of your choice. Easy agency code is how to sell exactly that service to another, to somebody else. The Project Rockstar training is, there's nothing done for you there. It's my hacks and tricks in order to, build high brand worthy content and to build an opt-in system so that you can actually really do an email marketing effectively. That's where people fall down. I mean, most people can, set up the email service provider. That's pretty straightforward. And a lot of people can even sort of kind of, back into what email to send, although oftentimes they're a little bit too salesy, by the way. But then it's like, how do you get the email? And that's where people get stumbled. And it's just like everything else. It's the content, right? And none of us really likes, I don't think, deep down, really likes to create content. And so that's the stumbling block that Rockstar solves. I mean, I'm not going to teach you to play the guitar. It's not that kind of rock star. It's a content marketing rock star. Domain and hosting, and that's really should be in my slide deck. And so as an agency edition owner, we will host for free one WordPress blog per project. So those are called personas in the software. And so every persona can have, at your option, a WordPress blog, and we will host that. And we will host it for free. And so, I mean, if you go get WordPress hosting at $7 a month, you can rapidly see that, that result flow pays for itself just in hosting. Clients pay FB ads, but we would do the creative images for beta and text and images. Well, no, not really. Now, if you wanted, so John, that's a good question. If you want to layer something on top of result flow, okay, then you could, work with the client and add value and charge them more money as a result, by the way, to do specialized offers and stuff like that. The real purpose of result flow is to build that foundation that nobody else builds. Right, so you will find some people out there that are doing Facebook marketing. And what they'll do is they'll do the creatives and then they'll post them and then they'll promote them. The problem they have is that because they're not using the hidden funnel, they're not actually focused on different messaging to those different audiences. They're being very inefficient at that process. If you would like to do that on top of what result flow is doing for you, now you've got a real 1-2 punch, because now you have a real good foundation to build something on top of. But result flow is really just about building a foundation, because if you look around, what you will find is very, very rare that you have anybody doing even the foundations. If they are doing anything on Facebook, they're doing it inefficiently and or wrong, and it's costing them money, and they probably have no ability to measure how well it's working for them. When you come along with the result flow, you don't name it result flow, but when you come along with your offer, right, you're going to show them, and you should walk in with one of our sample reports that is denuded of the actual business name, that shows, what a performing marketing funnel on Facebook looks like. Nobody else is really offering that to them, unless the two people in this group happen to walk into the same business, which seems very rare, by the way. So, doing additional creative and text and all that, yes, you could do that, but that would be a value add on top of all of this, because the automated system, by going through the curation process, creating a blog post, and that blog post being promoted, all of that rides along. So it's going to have a featured image, it's going to have text and a title, and it's going to link directly back to the blog post. Let's see, typo, our business mentoring biz, where we assist clients in developing their business base. Yeah, and so, right, that's from Mark. If you are mentoring other business owners to developing their own business, right? So it's very meta, right? Absolutely, this would be spot on for you. In fact, maybe there's another play there, Mark. If you'd like to email me and let me understand a little bit more about your business, there may be some other things we could do to help as well. Can you post the link again on the screen? Oh, I can't view the chat box. Oh no. Oh gosh. Okay. Well, that's just bizarre. Let's see here. Let me do this. Let's see. How do I do that? Let's see here. Um, I'll do it this. Whoops. Uh-oh. Sorry. Now I'm really screwed up. Yeah. All right. I'm just gonna do right here. This is like, so somebody asked. Oh, well, that's the word. Okay. Now I'm doing it as a superscript. Hang on. Okay. This is probably more work than it's worth, but bear with me a second. HTTPS resultflow.com/dot. All right. There we go. So there. Okay, there we go. All right, let's see. Uh-oh, now I've lost my chat box. Oh dear, I lost a Q&A. Hang on, let me go get it back here. It's all right. I hit the wrong button, folks. Questions. There it is. Almost done with the questions, though. I mean, these are some really great questions. What social media accounts on Resultful will work with? And so, I mean, that as they become important, we just add more. All right. So whenever, like I say, if Facebook is the next MySpace, we'll fix that, right? Right now, there's a bunch. I can't remember all offhand, but the primary ones, like I said, are Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. There's some other incidental ones we're working on. For example, Google My Business, which might be important to folks here. But if you don't find one that you want, then let me know. We also have a link through HubSpot. So if you really had to use something that we don't offer and needed it right away, you can actually get there by connecting Resultful to HubSpot and then getting HubSpot to do the connection for you. The link, we already did that. Must have missed link. Oh, must have linked. Okay, the link to buying. Okay, that's been answered. Just paid. Well, thank you, Thomas. Appreciate that. Excellent. Cool. Thanks, Mark. Okay, great. Mark's going to come back to me. Okay. Messenger bots. Well, there's not really a direct messenger bot integration that kind of makes sense here. So, I mean, the way you would be wanting to use a messenger bot, right, is in relation to some like, hero landing page or offer or something like that, not in relation to the ongoing, the Resultful machine, right? As again, kind of the previous question there I answered is like Resultful is building this foundation that then you do special things on top of, like specialized funnels. Okay, there's Resultflow aims to handle all of the things that can meaningfully be automated, and yes, you could attach whatever you have to do to a post in order to act, in order to provide a message bot. But Resultflow is not going to be talking to your messaging bot. That just doesn't make sense. A domain name and hosting, I think I've already answered that. If you want it, so kind of, yes. So Pete asked, do we need to buy a domain name and hosting? Well, generally speaking, you're going to want to have a domain name, or it's going to be a subdomain of your client. So, CincinnatiRoofer.org, probably a net, right? CincinnatiRoofer.com. Okay, if they show up, they don't have a blog, they probably have a Facebook page, they don't have an ad account, they've had a VA, they've had somebody in their office, maybe even their secretary or receptionist that occasionally posts some cool stuff to Facebook, but that's it, right? The rest of their marketing is referral and whatever. And so, all right, so you come on the scene and you show them some examples and go, oh, okay, well, yeah, I want to increase my qualified traffic too. And so you spend 30 minutes with them, either in the office or over a Zoom call or whatever. You get all their Facebook thing fixed. Now to do content marketing, you have to have content. To have content, you have a place to put it. We call it a content marketing platform. Really brilliant terminology there, right? And so you need a blog. Okay, we'll find, where are we gonna put the blog? Well, we're probably, in that case, we're gonna put it at blog.cincinnatiroofing.com. Now, in the old days, and the old day was only a year ago, before we created the hosted for me option, right? You had to go out to like SiteGround and put the blog up and blah, 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 blah. Now you don't have to do that. And so, if you just push the button in result flow, it will create that blog for you that I showed you further back in the slide deck. And then you go through and style it yourself, or you pay our team to do it. Now it's at some weird, it's m38-19.rfblog.net or something like that. Okay. Well, obviously that's not what you want to be showing to the real world. So instead, you do have to do one more step, and that is to go get a CNAME record pointing at it. And so you go get, in their registrar, blog.cincinnati-roofer.com, and you point that at our infrastructure, and bimbo bambo, it's done. Okay. And sometime in the next week, we'll be rolling out HTTPS. It's been a little bit long time in coming, but HTTPS is done. We just have to get it in production. And so once that's happening, now, what's going on? So you've got a blog hosted under your control. We're doing for you at no charge. And it's, you're going to make sure it's branded and stylized, to match their website. And if you're having us do it, that's one of the questions we've got in the onboard sheet is, show us the site that this should look like, and make sure that it's using the same color scheme and logo. So once you do that, now you start running content for the person. You show them a report that shows that they're getting, more people engaged on their Facebook page. So whatever they do on Facebook is going to work even better. You're getting traffic, to their blog. It's showing their CTAs. Probably in their case, it's probably a phone number is an important piece. And so at that point, you're running marketing for them that they don't know how to do themselves, and you're also hosting a blog for them. That's where we get back, 45 minutes ago when we were talking about puppy dog clothes, right? At that point, it's very, very difficult for them to decide they don't like you, because you've already provided enough value that there's a switching cost associated with getting off of the platform that you've put them on. And, I don't necessarily like to say, well, you own them. You don't, but on the same time, as a vendor of services, you want there to be a switching cost. You really do want there to be a consequence if they decide to leave. And that's certainly the case once they begin to see in week 2, 3, or 4, once they begin to see something happening on Facebook, they're not going to want to get rid of you. Let's see. Oh, wow. Okay, more questions. If the client has a website, yes. If they already have a WordPress site, that's great. Just connect to it. That's exactly what you want to do. Now, I would say, yes, it's posts. It's not pages. Yes. Yeah, but that's, yeah. You're just going to connect result flow to it. You're not going to create another blog. That would not make sense. Let's see. Your licensing software has got flaws. I'm not sure what that means. I don't really have licensing software. So, you must mean, I bet it's the license, the terms maybe. Got no email. Hit up support for now. Okay, I'm guessing that Raju Zamora. I'm guessing maybe Raju Zamora signed up and did not get the email. You know what? How you call it? Email confirmation. Oh, okay. Well, that must be from a purchase email. All right. So this is very possible this happened. Okay. It does happen from time to time. So there might be a delay. I have not been looking at how many orders have come in. And so if we have actually run out of apps, then I actually have to go provision some, which will take me 15 minutes, and then everything will kick loose. So if you're waiting for your email credentials, for your login credentials for result flow because you've ordered, like I said, I haven't been looking, been running a presentation. And so if in fact we've run out of applications during the call, that's okay. There's more where that came from. I'll just have to go in and create some, and then everything will shake loose. So just give me, 15, 30 minutes after the call, and everything will be fine. You're not going to get lost. let's say our client, as Jeffrey is asking this, but I do apologize, brother, about that. If that's really what's going on, I apologize, and I'll get that taken care of. Well, let's say so Jeffrey, let's say our client is an integrative physician. What kind? You know what? Jeffrey, that's a very good question, but it's kind of like how long is a piece of string? To be honest with you, that's going to, I would have to see the avatar a little bit more detail. If it's an integrated physician that's doing locally, then I know that some of it's going to be local content specifically, just so that that physician's blog has a solid location to the local area. That's going to give them the best, that's going to really give them the best results in terms of marketing. Because what you don't want to do, this is, so like, you probably heard that there's this vaccine thing, right? So I live in Nassau County, Florida, and I do a volunteer stint every once a week, an afternoon. I volunteer at the Emergency Operations Center, and so one of the things that's been recently going on is the vaccine rollout. Is that people call in to make appointments for when they, for where and when they can go get a vaccine, and about 20% of all the calls, the person is in the wrong Nassau because there's one in New York too. And so, I mean, I tell that little vignette, Jeffrey, because for your physician, if it's a local physician, we want to make sure that a lot of the content ties that blog very firmly to his real, honest to God local market, because what we don't want is him to be fielding a whole bunch of phone calls from the wrong damn state. On the other hand, if he's working nationally, that's a different matter. Now, one of our clients does liposuction, and so he's in Las Vegas, but a very high percentage of his customer base is actually medical tourists, right? He does have a very strong presence in Las Vegas, but he also has, because his price and services are very attractive, and he's renowned literally worldwide. We're advertising for him actually internationally, well, until last year. So that's a dimension we'd have to figure out. And then we just want to make sure all the content stayed away from quote unquote ailments, and made sure that the images were not going to be something we'd have any problems with in Facebook. But I'd have to see a finished avatar worksheet and then let our VAs have at it, because I mean, they've done back pain and a bunch of other things that are in the medical arena. So it's not a new thing. It's just that I can't say with any specificity what that would look like. First of all, I didn't even know what integrative physician means, by the way. Let's see, would I be able to rent their digital real estate to someone else if I don't want to keep my services? Obviously, I would need to have hosted the site, blog, etc., and use a generic domain like Reno Roofing, etc. Right. So, Todd, this must be one of Herc's guys, right? And so, yes, you can. You don't actually have to have a client, and so that's one of the things that as I'll say this. I mean, so something that Todd's partner is interested in would be like community or directory sites. And as I mentioned, earlier, that is a thing that some of our customers have done, and one of them did it at a pretty high scale in a city in California, a fairly rural city in California. And so you could literally just build up a website, fill it with content, get advertiser support or whatever, right? I mean, any of those things are possible. We don't actually care what you do with it. I mean, we feel pretty firewalled from any craziness you want to get into. Not that that's called crazy, right? I'm not saying that. But yeah, I would say, yeah, I mean, it's definitely a viable way to go. Okay, it's definitely a viable way to go. One of our longtime customers runs a completely advertiser-supported website in the health information, market. Okay. John says probably in spam folder. Well, maybe, John. Like I said, I mean, it may very well be that we've run out of apps, in which case I'll refill that. I'll start up some more apps. Probably should have checked that before the webinar. I apologize for that. I hadn't even thought about it. And so, all right. Well, that's actually the last of the questions I've got. I don't know. Let's see. So I guess I'll I don't know, to do a count to 3 or something. I don't know. It's like, if anyone has any questions, obviously you can, you, you can definitely get a hold of us. I mean, but for now, if there are no more questions, I'll call it a game. We've got Todd. Do you have anything to add before we sign off? If Todd's still there.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay, there you are.
Yeah.
Sorry, I can't
Can
see
you
the
hear me?
list. Yeah, I sure can.
Yeah, I'm just
Uh,
answering what I can over here in the chat box. Wow,
thanks.
lots of great questions. Just unbelievable. They just keep on coming in.
Wow.
Still a
Yeah.
lot of people on the call and a lot of great questions coming in. So yeah, it is getting to be about the 2.5 hour mark. So
Yeah.
we do need to probably call this. I'm sure Leslie needs a
Yeah.
big drink of water by now. He has been doing an absolutely fantastic job of answering all you guys' questions and keeping it up. It just goes to show you guys what you're in for on these mastermind calls when you join up. Lots of great information there and extended details on what's going on out there. So I'm just looking at the questions again now. Replay will be up here in a couple of hours. We just have to wrap up this call, render it, and upload it, and then I will send out an email and let you guys know where you can either go and maybe catch the beginning if you missed it again. A lot of great information in there of understanding of how all this works, as well as listen to these questions and answers again. So coming soon.
Verified brilliant concept. Thanks, Ken. Replay link. Yeah. Gotta go. Mark. Yeah. Well, I go. I got. Yeah. I get the gotta go. Well, anyway, Todd, again, thanks so much for inviting me to your group. I really do appreciate it. These obviously are some sharp ass people and some
Yeah,
really, really solid
absolutely.
questions here. So yeah, thanks again, man. And we'll be in touch in a few days, I guess. And to everybody that stuck it out for 2.5 hours, really, really do appreciate, the investment you made in listening to me yammer on. That's really, it's really a blessing.
Yep,
Appreciate it.
yep, yep. Right on, guys. Well, thanks again, everyone, for joining us. And, have any more questions, hit up support@resultflow.com. Any, ordering issues or something like that. Maybe you checked, like the one gentleman had a problem with, getting his confirmation email. That happens, don't worry. Leslie is, hasn't been in this business for 25 years for no reason. He will live up to every single word he's put out here. So don't worry about it. We will get you settled in. All right, guys. Well, that's all I got. I'm going to get to this replay and get this out and get some emails out to you guys tonight. All right, guys. Take care. Have a great weekend. Bye.